often are, I can grow up saying I love Westerns, but I didn't love very many. They're hard to make. But when you get one right in the dark, you measure yourself against that moment in time and wonder if you create an architecture, you think, would I have made it? And that's a big question. Those who are so certain that they would be brave in battle, I always question them. We don't know. But there's a heroism, even when the man decides he will not let his wife and children be ravaged, and he blows them up. That's not a sensational moment. That's a moment that occurred in the American West all the time. Because it was fierce. What they were losing to Native Americans and what the people coming across this country were trying to build, they were at odds, and it would get ugly. And I'm not afraid to tell that part of the story and the level of heroism that goes with that. And I just have to mention that was my little boy that wouldn't go down in the hole, my son. He'd never acted, he didn't know what a mark was, almost like me when I missed it. He kept his foot on it like it was a base. My kids aren't actors, they're athletes, and I had to say, that mark doesn't own you. You own your own part. And he quickly caught on, but he's my son, so I had to say something.
He was terrific. So precious. Well, you mentioning how hard Westerns are to make makes me wonder, in terms of costumes and hair, what were some of the added challenges being on location? And I was watching this today thinking, these exterior locations, it looks like you were dealing with probably some rough weather. How does that impact your job and make it more difficult?
I think this is the first time I've seen everyone on this panel and we're not covered in red dirt. So that's really nice. For costumes, it was the best thing ever. A windstorm was welcomed. We had quite a big team aging clothes all day long. And for the wind to kick up and have it help, little Mother Nature helping, making everything look like the wagon train, to age the wagon train to make it look, have the difference from when they're on the road and in the fields going across America to the moment where they stop by a river, and to maybe have the clothes go clean again from washing in the river. We were trying to make those moments for the audience to see that these people had one or two outfits. They wore them all the time, but they took care of their clothes. So I don't know if you see it, but maybe in 2, you'll see that there's women who cut the hems of their skirts off to make clothes for their babies. There's things that happen out there that we wanted to have the dirt. We wanted to have all of that be part of their world, because it really was. And so for costumes, we embraced any wind and rainstorm.
So yeah, definitely dirt was fine, whether it was natural or added. Challenges, I would say, we had 60 Native American wigs, because not everyone has, in modern day, a traditional hair length for, and not all natives are gonna have long hair, there can be a variation there. So it was getting those who needed the added hair, not to stand out as if it was fake. So it helped a lot with bandanas and how we can move that around. So, and then trusting once they went on horses that we had secured it enough that they were locked on. There's a great story that for me, I think is funny. At the end of Horizon, when everyone's catching planes out of Moab, my key hairstylist, Anna Williams, was on there, and there were so many natives on their plane, and they're like, no more wigs, no more wigs, and they were all grabbing at their heads. So other challenges I would say was Sienna coming out of the dirt. I never wanted to chase pins, hairpins. I didn't want to take you out of the time period. So I would gently sew some of the women's hair, would have strings, so that I wouldn't have to interrupt the acting that was going on or the scene that was going on, so it was just super secured. And at the end of the night, I could just clip the little string, let it loose, the hair can drop, and they go about their way.
You know, there's the illusion with the Western sometimes that you can just go into your closet and pull stuff out and you'll be able to make one. It's just the things that the extent that Lisa went through to create the silhouettes that you're seeing, to build these costumes. You know, after this is why my stories are always long. You know, after the Olympics, the Winter Olympics specifically, I always think I can ice skate. I just do. Because when I see it, I think that I could do it. Because it looks so effortless. But because you're in this business, you understand how deep Lisa went for this. What she was willing to not satisfy herself. She satisfied the moment, and she broke through the long hours. Your work is museum quality.
Speaking of things that I think people on the outside think are simple, but are really not, Lisa, I'm curious how much thought went into choosing Kevin's hat, because it's like Kevin, he's playing, this is like supposed to be an iconic Western character on here. The hat is very important, and there's a million different ways you can go with that. So how did you choose it?
Well,
I chose it. No, that's too simple.
we had many, many hats. Kevin's been in many Westerns, and he has worn many hats. And he wears a hat when he's directing. He's very familiar around Western hats. So I had to have a lot of choices. That brim's too short, that brim's too long. So I wanted to have every version of things I liked available for him. And it was amazing. He put on a hat, and immediately he would say, "This is good." The next hat, "No, this isn't good," and then make some funny comment. And then the next hat he would put on, and it would be amazing. So at the end, we had like 3 top hats. Not top hats. Hats that were really handsome on him. And we ended up with the hat that he chose ultimately, of course. And it just was great for the character because it didn't give anything away. It doesn't show you. You have to wait till 2 and 3 to find out. Kevin Costner's character, Hayes, who Hayes is, but the hat really kind of did something kind of magical, I thought, in the movie. And like the hats on every character in the film, a lot of men have strong opinions about cowboy hats. And I let a lot of the actors, if they had an opinion, to participate in selecting. And I think you'll see, as if we were to line up all the guys and we were just to do their shadows on the wall, you would know who each character in the movie was just by their silhouette reflected onto a wall. Because each hat, each character is so unique in this movie. And I think the character Kevin played, Hayes, his hat was very distinctive. And I think that you all, having just seen the movie, would agree. And that it is one of those just moments in costuming that I felt all clicked and came together.
I appreciate that you saw the movie. I made 6 hours behind the scenes in honor of what it is we do, in honor of how hard it is. So I hope one day you see the making of it, because I finished the first 2 hours of it, and it's brutal, and it's emotional, and there's this red carpet that we all want to walk on. There's this moment where we stand in the wonderful moment you stood for me just now. I will remember that. But there's these long days that I think we're all, if we're on the Serengeti, right, I'd know who you are. I know who the wildebeest are. I see them elephants hanging out together. I see them saying, when I see movie people, I know you. And you work long hours. And the documentary is just really about that. And I hope you're able to watch that, because it's probably a mirror of what you go through and why we even think to single people out and why we're willing to vote for them. So thank you.
Nicholas, you were nodding affirmatively when Kevin said how brutal this was. What was the biggest challenge in editing for you?
Well, I mean, mostly it was just to be true to the material. You know, I bit off a big bite. You know, I wanted to cut it by myself. You know, wanted to be the only editor on a show that probably normally would have like 3 cutters. But so I was really determined to be the guy. And so, you know, I had that enormous responsibility on top of it. And then there was just, you know, there's a lot of intentions that are in the script, and we were definitely following the script. You know, like every word on the page that John put there and Kevin put there were meaningful, and we were trying to bring those all to light. And, you know, then you end up with a 3-hour and 45-minute assembly. And so we were like, well, that's not exactly what we're going for. You know, so probably the biggest job was how to really distill all of this magnificence of the costume design, the production design. I wish Derek was here as well, and to render it to what you just experienced. And a lot of it was just simply hard won. You know, there's a lot of amazing intercutting that's going on during the massacre that was, you know, really we just, you know, kept trying to find the best possibility to complement one thing or to make things bigger or more powerful. There was so much genius going on that it was very overwhelming. And so we definitely had the storyboard on the wall with shots for every scene, and the orders that they're in, and just trying to really stay on top of it. One of the things I loved about working with Kevin on the show is that he really loves kind of like the montage. He loves making these powerful sequences of imagery that you could then, as an editor, it's a feast of being able to play. So a lot of it was to kind of get away from the challenges and more just kind of how wonderful it was just that kind of thing where we have all these amazing opportunities to really live into, and it created wonderful possibilities for music and for sound. I really think though the biggest challenge of the whole movie was when to enter Kevin. That was probably the biggest challenge, right? Like we were like when your character was going to show up. That was one of our kind of like seminal things of like, how long can we hold it back? We really, so we cheated a little bit. We did bring them up a little bit sooner, ultimately.
A couple minutes.
It's just a couple, seriously.
I'm never concerned where I land in a movie. I'm a part of it. And I don't concern myself with that. It's just, we all are going to know that I was in it. But one person isn't represented here, and I'm going to, just like with Jimmy Murrow. We all come to movies. We all choose to be away from our homes for a couple of reasons. One is either it's the script that is attracted to you, or it's perhaps the director that's attracted you to it, or you've had a divorce and you fucking have to work. So there are moments I forgive you all for your artistic choices. But truly, John Baer is one of the most gifted writers, and you can see it. This is our Shakespeare. This is not a bunch of yeps and nopes and see around. This language that he chose for these actors, and none of them hesitated to come to these parts. This wasn't a Western. This was literature in a Victorian age in America. I mean, our history is landing on the East Coast. Our character was developed crossing this country. It was forged out of battle. And he found dignity in just a woman bathing, the desire to stay clean. Who wouldn't want to? It's the writing. That's why we show up. That's what I know has been propped me up my whole life. That's why I knew I could make one. That's why I knew I could make 4. Because I know where it's going. It's a discipline that I have relied on my entire career. And John Baird is one of the greatest writers I've ever worked with. And what a writing partner. And I hope if you revisit this movie, you'll hear those words. We've forgotten long ago who wrote what. But I will tell you, I'm not the writer he is. He's special.
He's really funny too. He tells great jokes. He's so funny. He has the driest humor. It's hilarious.
It's pretty funny him not showing up, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's very shy.
It's typical. He's always like way over there,
Yeah.
hiding out and making notes. It's terrific.
Well, I know there's another movie coming in here, but I think